So hello, let's take another question again to solve on that quadratic equation. So I'd like to move my screen to the other way. That's wrong. So there's it. Let me move it more. Now let's take a question again. Now if we're given this to work with, we have this on from my book. We have 1 over 2 x squared plus 2x minus 5 over 2 is equal to 0. I will try to solve this particular question. Now how do we do that? Notice this is now a fractional value. It's going to be tough when you're now trying to find possible values using factorization. So what do? You can easily do this by trying to eliminate the denominator so that it can now become a whole number. And that's possible because we have an equality sign here, so we can make find the LCM and multiply it. That's equal to multiply, and it cancels out with the 0. You understand that? So let's try that. To become what? 1 over 2. Now we find the LCM, so let's say find LCM or take LCM, whichever one. Take LCM or find LCM to be what? X squared plus. Now what's the LCM of this? Everything here, the LCM is what? This is like carrying 1. The LCM here is 2, right? So now everything here is over 2. 2 divided by 2 multiplied by 1 is still x squared. 2 divided by 1 is 2 times 2 will give us 4x. 2 dividing 2 is 1. 1 times 5 will still give us minus 5. And is equal to 0, right? So I can cross multiply, and then 2 will multiply 0, which will now cancel out. So my new values are what? X squared plus 4x minus 5 equal to 0. And we're back in the game. So solving this question, let's proceed. It will become what? We can then solve this by factorization methods. So we look for, since we know that our a is what? 1, our b is what? 4, and our c is what? Minus 5. Now we know our ac is like saying a multiplying c, which is equal to what? Minus 5, because 1 times minus 5 will still give you minus 5. So look for what value are we going to add that will give us what? 4, and when we multiply it, it will give us what? Minus 5, which is our AC. So what value do you think is going to be that? What value? I'm running through my mind. That will be a 4 and 1, right? No, it will be a 5 and 1. Okay, yeah, it will be a 5 and 1. So we know that if we say minus 5, so if we say, I'm trying to look at it, if we're to use minus 5 multiplying a minus 1, no, if we choose minus 5 multiplying a 1, we get minus 5. But if we're to say minus 5, I'm coming, let me look at this question, minus 5 adding to a 1, we get minus 4, which is wrong. So we need to look for another method. So but if the minus sign, imagine if the minus sign was here, sorry, that's a mistake. Let me bring that back. Bringing that back. Oh, it's not coming back. So let me just continue. It's not coming back. So if the minus sign was here and our minus sign was not here, 5 times minus 1 will give us minus 5 still, right? But notice something also. If we take away the minus sign here and then we put the minus sign somewhere here, then 5 minus 1, so let me take away that plus sign I put there. Let me take away the plus sign and use just a minus sign. 5 minus 1 will give us what? It will give us plus 4. So you see, it works now. That I told you is a trial and error method. You have to just look for what values can you use that will work easily. So we know that 5 times minus 1 will give us minus 5, but 5 minus 1 will give us 4. So therefore, what values are we using? We are using 5 and minus 1. So we come down here and then we bring it into our b part. So we substitute it into this part. It will be what? X squared plus 5x minus x, because 1x is still minus x, minus 5 is equal to 0. So now we factorize. Look for what is common between these two. Between these two, what's common? It's x. So bring out an x, and then here's x plus 5 if it divides through. So we'll do again here. We'll bring out what's common. Here's minus and here's minus, right? So we can bring out a minus. And then what again is common? There is really nothing common here, so just bring 1. When there's nothing common, 1 is always common. 1 is always the common factor of every number in the world. So you bring in 1, and then it becomes what? X plus 5. Why did I say it's plus 5? Because when this minus multiplies through, we'll get back this. So it's equal to 0. And then we can now take, since they are now the same, look at it now, they're now the same. We can now take one of the brackets, x plus 5, and take the one outside, x minus 1 is equal to 0. So we can then solve for this, and to give us that x plus 5 equal to 0, or x minus 1. Okay, let me space out this so I can solve them separately. Or x minus 1 equal to 0. So here will be what? X is equal to minus 5 when it crosses over, and here is x is equal to what? 1 when it crosses over. Therefore it will be what? Our two values of x are what? Minus 5 and 1. Is that okay? So that's how you solve it. So let's take another question again. Now let me go down a bit and take more questions. Now what about this one? If you're given a question like this, let me look for something interesting. Okay, yeah, I've seen one. 3y raised power 3 is equal to 27y. Solve this. Now in solving this, I can notice something. I know that I can divide through by y, right? To make this so that I can make my highest value of y only just raised power 2. So if I divide through by y cancels out y here, and then y can cancel out only one y according to indices. It's like saying y raised power 3 minus 1, because here is carrying a power of 1. And that will give us what? That will give us 3y squared is equal to 27. Is that okay? Yeah, so now this can come over here, and when it comes over, it becomes 3y squared minus 27. Oh, not only just that, even 3 can cancel out. I didn't see that. So 3 can also cancel out 27 here, and that will be what? That will be 9, and then 3 and 3 here is out. So forgive me, I can just take that out. So let me use clean my eraser. That's out, and then here let's put it in. So here will be 9, and here will be minus 9 equal to 0. When this goes over to the equality sign, it remains equal to 0. So what's next now? Now notice something. We have our quadratic equation to look like ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0, right? Now we know that our a here is what? 1, because our y carries a value of 1 here. Our b is 0. Why did I say 0? Because there is no by, or maybe anything that is carrying just a singular value of y. There's nothing here, so we assume that that b was to be 0, because when it is 0, it multiplies that y and it still remains 0, so there's no value there. So really it was supposed to look like this: y squared plus 0y minus 9 is equal to 0, but 0y still means 0. That's why we just put everything as this. So I'll take that off so that we don't need to consider it again. So we know our b is what? 0, and our c here is what? Our c here is what? It is minus 9. Now I can use factorization to solve this, but that would be a long journey. I could have easily solved it without factorization. What do I mean? From this part here, I could have solved without factorization. I would have just taken the roots of the equation, that's taking the square root of both sides, and gotten my value. So let me first do that with that simple method. So since we have y squared is equal to 9 here, I can just take the square root of both sides. Taking square root of both sides. Now notice something. Because I know that this my y squared is a value that we are not sure if there's a positive or a negative value, you must always say that whenever you're taking the square root of both sides, introduce plus or minus square root of 9. Now I will explain what I mean by this plus or minus, why I had to bring it in. Let's take for instance, if my value of y was, let's say, 2. Let's say that my value of y was 2. If I say 2 squared, it will give me what? 4. What if my value of y was minus 2? If I say minus 2 squared, what will it give me? To give me back 4. So notice something, that both the negative and the positive values, when you take the square root of the sides, it will give you the same value. Therefore, since we are taking the square root of a squared number, we are not sure if this y is a positive or a negative number. So please, we put in plus or minus to tell you that, because even if it's, when we take the plus or minus, we will still get back the same value. So please put in your plus or minus. I don't know if you're getting the catch there. That's why this plus or minus came in. So therefore, this one is already out. So we have our value as y, because since we've taken the square of both sides, if you take the square of both sides, then this one cancels this, so definitely our square is out, and then we can proceed. So we have that our y is equal to, now what's the square root of 9? It's 3, right? So that's plus or minus 3, and that's the final answer. Is that okay? Remember I told you, when you're taking the square root of a number that has a square, remember, once you're taking the sides of the square root, then please bring in a plus or minus, because we are not sure if the original number here that has the number that y is carrying is a positive or a negative number. And check this out, if I have minus 3 and I take the square, I will get 9. If I have 3 and I take the square, I will still get 9. So that's why we always bring in this plus or minus, so I think can accommodate for every side of the problem. So that's one way of solving it. Another way of solving it is by doing this. Let's take another way of solving it. Sorry, that's a mistake. Okay, so another way of solving this will be by doing this. So I can use y squared minus 9 is equal to 0. Then remember what we did here. I can just factorize this by bringing out what? I can factorize this by saying y squared. Now since our b is already equal to 0, so there's nothing we're looking out for. So I can just bring out a y, and I can bring out, okay, sorry. Now, generally, this is even how the thing will stop. There's no method this thing can go again. I've just checked it out. There's no more method it can move out again, apart from what we did here. But if it was y squared minus 9y is equal to 0, then there's a different question, because we can now factorize by saying y brackets y minus 9 is equal to 0. And then definitely y here will be equal to 0, or y minus 9 is equal to 0, and where y is equal to what? 9 when thing crosses over. But that's a different scenario whereby it is y squared minus 9y. But when it's like this, then what we've done is the correct thing. So what we've done here is the correct value, where we had that our y is equal to plus or minus 3. So the two values of y are what? Plus or minus 3.